You see how mirroring this is? Like, we had a peak, we had a swing high, a pullback, a peak, breakdown, consolidation, breakdown, consolidation, breakdown. We had a peak, a pullback, a higher peak, breakdown, consolidation, breakdown, and we're working on a consolidation which would likely lead to another breakdown. So it's all right, guys, welcome back to the CryptoWise channel. My name is Dave. Today we're going to be talking about Ethereum. Is it going to go to $1,000? Is it going to reach the target? And have I changed my viewpoint? Welcome to the channel. We talk about macro technical analysis, facts in the chart, staying cool, calm, and focused. Also going to be giving an update on Bitcoin, a short one. So let's dive into it. In my previous video, as I've shared, I talked about how the prior bear market is looking very similar as to what has been unfolding. This video was 4 months ago. And 4 months ago when I made this video, the price looked like this. And I talked about that we were working on a consolidation before more downside, which has played out exactly. Maybe not exactly the way I had envisioned, but we did see a consolidation and then a breakdown further below that low. So yeah, all is according to plan. ETH is following the path of the bear market. And essentially, it's basically following Bitcoin. So there's one thing that I talked about in that video also that didn't play out exactly. And it was something that I was suspecting that could end up being the same. Is the overlay here. So this overlay I took from the prior bear market and overlaid it into the current bear market and talked about how we were in this phase here of the blue, right? And that we were working on a consolidation before more downside. The consolidation took a little bit longer, but ended up playing out a theory that I brought up, which is that three-wave move down, the three-wave structure. So anyhow, in the prior cycle, we had a drop sooner, reached bear market lows, and then bounced from there, made a higher low, and went higher. In this situation, it's not playing out anymore. It's actually following Bitcoin way more closely and following a three-wave structure to the downside, which plays out in 1, 2, 3. It should look something like this. Probably bottoming more around October before we start seeing that upside, whatever it ends up looking like. So we can see the similarities with Bitcoin. It actually lines up pretty well. Let me pop it up here. Let's see. Oh, did I shut it off? I just shut it off. Whoops. There it is right there. So we can see the similarities, right? I mean, if I overlay the price action, right? I mean, come on. ETH is one of those coins that like to follow Bitcoin pretty closely. So this blue, the blue that you see is actually Bitcoin's price action on the same time frame. And I just pull it over like this so we can see that it's following it pretty well. And in fact, it's, if anything, the price action of Ethereum is doing worse against Bitcoin, as we can see that it's not following exactly. If I keep it aligned from the beginning, it's following, but then after the drop that we had in January, February, and this consolidation into May, we actually seen that Bitcoin was outperforming Ethereum. And then when Bitcoin came down, Ethereum came crashing down. So we can see that it's following. And in the prior cycle, we had, yeah, it wasn't quite the same, as you can see. If I overlay it in the beginning, there was a phase. So probably like this. There was a phase where Ethereum was outperforming Bitcoin during this rally here, which is the same midpoint rally as this one, I would say. So Ethereum was actually outperforming Bitcoin. because that's how I would overlay it. They peaked at the same time. They kind of bottomed here at the same time, but then when Bitcoin went and did its three-wave move correction into March, April, Ethereum started pushing higher. But the drop on Ethereum compared to Bitcoin after that into the June lows was very aggressive to the downside. And then, yeah, from there it was just chop around, which Bitcoin ended up making a new low and Ethereum made a higher low. So right now we're in this phase where Ethereum is, let me get this the right way. Looks more like there. Actually, it depends on how I overlay it, right? It's almost really much the same. Let me double check this side now. If I overlay it, it has to do with how I have it overlaid. So I have it, oh yeah, it's even worse, actually. Even worse to the downside. Anyways, but yeah, so anyways, this is but what we're seeing here is basically that Ethereum is mirroring Bitcoin very, very closely. So yeah, and I expect Bitcoin's still going to break to the downside. So we can look at that for now. I talked about in previous Bitcoin updates that as long as we keep a weekly candle below this range low here, that the pressure is down, and we're seeing that happen. So from here, this is a major support level here at around 59-ish, 58, 59K. As we've seen, we've got supported there before. We had wicks into here and got supported before. It's also a prior major resistance area that was here. The first peak in the 2021 bull cycle that ended up being a deviation once we went for the second attempt to break above it, which got rejected, and then we went to a bear market. From here, I still suspect that once we actually get some break below here, that we could see a pretty decent move down. It's possible that given how slow it is now comparative to this candle or this move, that we could just maybe chop around into this low before we come up and then back down again, maybe something like that. It also is possible that we could just push down this week and see that flash move that I've been talking about. I'm not sure which one's more reliable, but this level here at 53K is likely to get tagged somewhere between 53 and 52,200. We could even wick into 49. We have targets down there. We have that bear flag target from Bitcoin, which is this here. That is a measured move price target, and I take the measurement of the pull of the bear flag, put it inside this consolidation, and we can see the targets down here at around 51. We haven't reached it yet. It would be a reasonable target for it to reach, as the prior bear flag was reached also, and in prior bear markets we had bear flag targets being reached precisely, even the smaller ones in between. So yeah, so my expectation, Ethereum's just going to follow Bitcoin, and other reasons why that is we also have bear flag targets. So if I just zoom in a little bit, you put it on the 3-day, yeah. Bear flag target on Ethereum. If I measure from this swing high here all the way down to that, so that was the January high into the February low, and this whole consolidation here of about 3-4 months-ish is the flag, and I take this pole, put it inside the flag, and we can see that we have a target all the way down to about 1,300. And just like Bitcoin's sitting on a pretty important support level, Ethereum's also sitting on one. Surprise, surprise, which is right around this area here, where we've seen support for a bounce, and then now we're having a just double tap, which could turn into a W pattern maybe temporarily, but the expectation is still down. Since we haven't met our other prerequisites for a bear market, timing wise, depth wise, we haven't seen that fill out. So on Ethereum, just see if I can get rid of this thing here. I don't know why that's there, but I'll figure it out later. Okay, so back to the video. All right, so the bear markets, right? So if we look at the bull market top to bear market low number 1, we've seen an 80. Well, the COVID crash, we went further down. 92%. Was this the, yeah, December low? So between 88 and 92. The cycle after that, second bear market, was 80, almost 82, right? So it's less dramatic. Let's see this low. Yeah, even that low was less from the first one to the second one, which is common for coins that are in a positive development phase, like overall. And so far from our current bull market top to where we are now, we've only done 68%. So if we were going to fill out this bear flag, we would be at 73. If we're going to fill out the box that I'm talking about, then we're looking at, 77%. Maybe even into 78. We could push into 80, but I wouldn't be surprised if we do somewhere in the 70s. All right. I don't know if that $1,000 will be reached. It's definitely possible, but yeah, we'll have to see how Bitcoin reacts. So those percentages haven't been met. In no way that this is like an exact science, but it's definitely a confluence factor in terms of the bear flag, in terms of timing. Invalidations, basically, we see that we're in a downtrend here. It's pretty clear, right? Lower highs and lower lows is how you distinguish a downtrend, right? Lower high, lower high, lower high, lower low, lower low, lower low, and until we break past the prior high, all the pressure is to the downside. The first indication would be as if a weekly candle closes outside of this downtrend, could signal an indication that we're going to push higher. Until that happens, pressure is down. But in that situation, it is possible that we could see a break, especially if we're not near that October timeframe, that if we do break above, we could possibly roll over again for another down before we actually break or actually bottom and start to push higher. So pressure's still down. Even before that, the first indication I would say is that if we can break a daily candle above the prior swing high, would potentially signal a more bullish scenario, as we are below the structure, right? Below the prior low structure, that was a back test. We push down and we're retesting this low here. If we break below this low, the expectation is to see a move down into that $1,300 area. Yeah, which could be either the wick here, this wick here, and or these support levels approximately around here. I'm looking at those levels here on the daily, that liquidity wick there. So that's a range that we could see us drop into. So without looking at the bear flag prior to that, oh no, other way, forward. Just going to delete this out of the way. Now that we have that in there, let's see. I don't remember what the number was for the bear flag target, but let's see if that lines up with that support level. So if I do it again, measured move price target from the flag pole into the flag like this. Yeah, not quite. It's a little bit over, but yeah, definitely a point. So we could break even lower into anywhere in this support area here on the rest of this move down. So yet to be seen. Very valid and plausible based on everything we're seeing. What else? I think there was something else. I think that must be it, huh? Yeah. We're also running really close to this weekly close. This 2-weekly candle looks pretty bearish on Bitcoin. And closing another weekly candle like this in an hour and 40 minutes will be a pretty bearish candle, which suggests that the seller's in control, which suggests that the price still wants to push down, at least from one weekly candle. It doesn't mean that it will just drop straight down, although it's showing weakness. We could see next week go up and then chop around before we come down as well. But in any case, Ethereum following Bitcoin, still bearish. My targets are still in this box unchanged. I really think that the $1,200 area is in the realm of possibility. So in terms of targets for Bitcoin, if we translate that to Ethereum, since it's following it very nicely, and we look at these targets here, I talked about 44K being a reasonable target. So that's a 25% move down. If we did 25% move down, we would be in 1154 area for Ethereum. So very possible to reach that target. And actually, that might not be the best way to do it. Let me just remeasure that because the translation isn't always the same. So swing high of April to the current swing low is 38%. Bitcoin, go back to the daily. Swing high to swing low was 28%. So 38%. So it did 10% more out of a 28% move. So if Bitcoin drops down 25%, like I was talking about here, it's possible Ethereum does an extra 10%, which would be 35% from where it is now, right? Yeah, from where it is now. So if I measure, and that's if this continues, right? Speculative, a 35 would put us at $1,000. So there you go. So according to that calculation, that $1,000 area is very likely to be hit. So if you're wondering if it's going to get to 1,000, there is evidence showing that it is in the realm of possibility. Will it hit? I don't know. It's yet to be seen. But the probabilities are definitely in favor of getting close to, if not actually hitting that target. All right, guys, this was helpful. Appreciate comments, like, subscribe, share, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.